Want to bet? Bet on what?
I'll take that bet right on.
Welcome, episode number 9 of Wanna Bet. I'm your host, Mathias. Today is Wednesday, September 18th, and my goal with this show is to make you a more educated sports bettor for college football week number 4. So far, we're sitting at 27-13 against the spread for the NCAA. Could not ask for a better streak. I mean, our system worked, and then a ton of luck is involved if you're hitting that high of a percentage. So regression is coming. I'm going to have one of these videos, and it's going to completely be the polar opposite of the results we've had so far. You hope that doesn't come, but at the end of the day, you have to be realistic and understand it's probably coming. But we are turning the page, getting away from our stability scores and focusing in on what teams have shown us who they are. Most teams have 2 or 3 games under their belt. Really not a lot of high-tiered competition amongst the big dogs, and this is the week where that really starts to turn. So we have some high-consequence games, some stuff that's going to maybe have some impact towards the end of the season as far as who's, getting in that college football playoff and what have you. If you're new to the show, I'm just going to give you my top 10 plays for this week. So these are wagers I've already placed. I like the numbers where they're at, whether it's spread, over, under, what have you. So these I've already have on my card. That's not to say that more is not going to be added. It's just these are the numbers we like so far. The matchups we will talk about are the top 25 key games that the most eyes are going to be on. These are all top 25 matchups. And I'm assuming a lot of you just went on here on YouTube and typed in college football week 4 plays. You click this and boom, you're going to rip through these. You probably don't care about some of these matchups, but the ones we'll deep dive into, those are going to have all the eyes on them. So here is my card for week 4. Just once again, running through these real quick here. We got University of Louisiana Monroe versus Texas. First half over 30.5. Texas is probably going to have to make up all that, but I think they can do it. Duke versus Mid-Tennessee State. First half under 28. Kent State plus 49 versus Penn State. Notre Dame first half laying 14.5 versus Miami of Ohio. Jackson State first half minus 3.5. Coastal Carolina first half plus 2.5. Indiana minus 28 to Charlotte. Real quick on that one, that number opened at 23. I still like the Hoosiers enough to lay that big of a point total. So that one, if you're just blindly running these with me, keep that one off your card. It's not the best number. That's away from our system, but I do think Indiana is going to win that football game by a big margin. So you can cross that out if you're just tailing, or take it. I don't care. North Carolina laying 10.5 versus James Madison. Oklahoma State getting 2.5 points versus Utah, which we will talk about here towards the end of the video. And Kansas versus West Virginia over 55.5. Top 10 plays out of all the research that I've done so far. I'm really happy with all those, minus the Indiana, the 28 points, because, again, it opened 23, and we didn't get the best number. That's not typical, but I liked them enough to take them. Okay, so switching pace here, we're going to jump into the top 25 matchups. So the first of which will be Friday night in Lincoln, Nebraska. Number 24, Illinois, is going to Nebraska, who is ranked 22nd in the country. Illinois is getting 8.5, or you can get Nebraska minus 7.5. Over under, you can get over 42.5 or under 43.5. Both of these teams are heading into the game 3-0 against the spread. Both 0-3 to the over. So we have a combined 6-0 against the spread, and then a combined 0-6 to the over. Oh, I don't even know where to begin with these teams. This is the first time Nebraska has been ranked since 2019. They've continuously pulsed to say that they're having that resurgence and they're back to the glory days. It hasn't quite happened. Now they have Dylan Raiola head at quarterback. Piece of advice for this kid, just be yourself. The Patrick Mahomes, copying not only his mannerisms, but his pregame warm-up, and then the Oakleys and the goatee. It's a little weird, but talent prevails. My advice to anybody, just be yourself. Don't worry about, imitation is the best form of flattering, but That one's a little crazy. You just need to be yourself, kid. He's been playing pretty well. Illinois, on the other hand, Luke Altmaier at quarterback, he's been fine. He started out pretty bumpy. I think he was 3 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and since then has progressed and started to be more on point. This one's tough for me. So I live just outside of Champaign, and I'm an Illinois fan for all their sports, college basketball, college football. I don't see a world where Illinois travels to Nebraska and plays well. It pains me to say, but this is the most letdown spot of all letdown spots. It seems like once Illinois cracks into that top 25, the regression's coming. Brett Bielema historically has not played up to competition in these spots. I know there's been a few upsets here and there, but hostile environment. I saw that video from that, or not the video, the game in Nebraska when they played Colorado, how buzzing that place was. Now they're ranked in the top 25, so they weren't at that point. So place is going to be rocking. I just struggle to think that Illinois can keep up with Nebraska, how good that offensive line is, how good Dylan Raiola could be, and then how average Luke Altmaier has looked. Illinois' best win doesn't look great now because Kansas, they might stink. Jalen Daniels, he's not only Kansas' best weapon, he's also the biggest piece as to why they're going to lose games, turning the ball over and just not making smart decisions. The kid had back surgery last year, so he's probably still a little bit beat up. So that's a tough one for me. I'm not putting a wager on this game. If I had a lean, I would be leaning towards Nebraska covering the 7.5. And then I would also probably bet the under. I don't think Illinois is going to score much. I could see a world where Nebraska goes up 24 to 7 or 10, and then they just run that clock out. So as far as Friday night's matchups, I think it's never fun betting the under. The guys that say life's too short to bet the under. No, it's not. It's if the goal is to make money, then sometimes unders are a good play. I don't have a ticket on this one, but if you would like to put a number down just to get some juice while watching, I would lay it with Nebraska. Up next, Big Ten battle, USC, number 11 in the country, going into the Big House with number 18 Michigan hosting them. Currently, USC is laying 5. You can get Michigan 5.5. Michigan 5.5. Over/under set to 44.5. This is another one that early number would have been lower. I think 2 and 3s were kind of where these opened up, and USC got taken pretty quickly. USC is 2-0 against the spread, coming off a bye week. Michigan 0-3. The teams are a combined 4-1 to the over. Michigan's making a change at quarterback. Last week, Davis Warren refused to stop throwing the ball to Arkansas State. I saw a clip when I was watching the game, and I believe he was 14 of 17 passing, and the only 3 passes that were not caught by Michigan players were interceptions, which is, that is Big Ten football right there. So they're making a change at quarterback. I do not anticipate that they're going to throw a lot of interceptions because from what I've seen with the quarterback Michigan's going out there with, can't complete the ball to anybody. So I really think Michigan's offense is going to struggle with this one. This is that clash of like old Big Ten versus new Big Ten, considering USC. Like what USC is going to want to do is high-paced, kind of a spread read-style offense and just keep up the pace. What Michigan wants to do is control the line of scrimmage, get in the backfield, ground and pound, and then attack the quarterback on defense. Miller Moss, USC's quarterback, has a 90% completion rate when pressured. That leads the nation by a pretty good margin. So I expect a kid like that, that's one of his strengths is being mobile and stepping up in the pocket. I just don't think Michigan's going to keep up with the offensive firepower USC has. You can't ever take for granted how a matchup like USC versus Michigan, the home team is going to have a little bit of an edge considering that's the biggest stadium in the United States. So for me, I would be comfortable laying the points with USC here as well. I'd also be comfortable playing that under at 44.5. We've got no wagers on either of these, but come Saturday, I may take a ticket out. So keep up with us on Twitter and Juice Reel in case we do have a last-minute ad. But right now, I'm taking USC laying the points, and then under 44.5 are the wagers that I would be willing to play. Up next, probably my favorite matchup of the weekend. Number 12, Utah is going to number 14, Oklahoma State. Right now, Utah is laying 1.5, or you can get Oklahoma State plus 2.5. Over/under set to 53.5. Utah is 1-2 against the spread. Oklahoma State 2-1 with a combined 6-0 to the over. So you want to talk about explosive firepower on both sides of the ball, on both these offenses. So Cam Rising 2 weeks ago kind of got pushed out of bounds late, and I guess he cut his hand on the bench and then got tetanus. 2024 and we're still having tetanus. Wasn't that on the Oregon Trail game? You can get tetanus or gangrene, whatever. I was just so confused by that. It sounds like Cam Rising is going to play. However, weren't there 7 or 8 games last season where Cam Rising was expected to play and he never suited up? So I really don't understand the low point difference in this. I don't think Oklahoma should be getting points. I think if anything, Oklahoma State should be favored in this one. The trend bet would be take the points with the home dog in a conference battle, especially if you're getting 2.5. For all the stuff that I ran, I think Oklahoma State wins this game 60% of the time outright. So as far as money line goes, I haven't checked that out. I'm going to do that live right now. But Oklahoma State getting the points is one of my favorites of the weekend. Right now, money line is plus 110, so there's not a ton of value taking money line plus 110. I mean, you can get the 2.5 points laying 10 cents juice, so it just makes sense to take the points with Oklahoma State this week. Like I said, conference home dog, that's a play that historically that hits at 60% in college football. Mike Gundy is one of my favorite head coaches in the league. He's just maybe a little bit brash. The haircut is worth a couple points on its own. That mullet, the fact that guys that are still rocking with the mullet that have not steered away from that course, the respect level I have is just absolutely through the roof. So shout out to Mike Gundy for keeping that mullet going strong. Once again, our play on this one, take the points with Oklahoma State getting 2.5. Also, that over 53.5. Doesn't this seem too easy? I mean, these teams combined so far, Oklahoma State, they're averaging 42.7 points a game. Utah is averaging 31. So it just seems like a pretty good play for the over. I have not laid it yet, but come Saturday, I probably will maybe see if that goes down. We'll update our card as time goes by. But right now, if you're wanting a good wager, get the points with Oklahoma State. That's a great bet. The final top 25 matchup of the weekend, number 6 Tennessee visiting number 15 Oklahoma. Right now, Tennessee is laying 7, over/under set to 57.5. Tennessee 3-0 against the spread. Oklahoma 1-2. The two teams are a combined 6-0 to the over once again. So Tennessee is, thrown a match on a brush pile full of gasoline the past couple weeks. They are just absolutely going off. They are playing an inferior schedule. That's the thing. At this point in the year, you're going to not have a lot of, tough defenses these offenses have played, but you love to see great teams. They do what they're supposed to do. They beat the snot out of the teams that just don't have the talent to keep up with them. Tennessee's scores so far are a combined 191 for Tennessee, and they've allowed 13 points over 3 games. Chattanooga 69-3, NC State 51-10, and then against Kent State last weekend 71-0. That game at halftime was 65-0. The Tennessee coach, athletic director, whoever it was, went over to Kent State and they said, "Hey guys, we know you travel, blah blah blah. Do you guys want to just keep the clock running, shorten the quarters, and get you guys out?" And Kent State respectfully declined. So shout out Kent State for just wanting to keep their guys in the game and get some, get reps in. It's all about getting reps in. But that being said, Tennessee looks like a wagon. They are facing their first actual college football team of the year so far. I just think that you have 2 teams with good quarterbacks. Tennessee has Nico Iamaliva, could have butchered that, but he's a 5-star prospect. He's looked great so far. And then Jackson Arnold on Oklahoma has been good as well. So, you kind of give maybe a little bit of a coin flip. And these big matchups, you kind of start, the 1-1 is who has the edge at quarterback. And with this one, I think it's a little bit of a coin flip. This is Oklahoma's first SEC home game that they're going to have. That place is going to be rocking. If you tell me that college athletes, coaches, staff don't pay attention to spreads, I just don't believe it anymore because it's so readily available. Now ESPN and all the major networks, they can talk about it since it's been legalized in the predominant states in the country. So when you're a home dog 7 points versus an SEC team for the first time, I mean, I have to think this means quite a bit to the Sooners this weekend. Getting a whole touchdown against Tennessee, I have no play on this one. If it were me, I'd take the points with Oklahoma as well. As far as the over-under goes, 57.5, I'm taking that again. Two teams that are scoring points. Oklahoma has not done great against their competition. Their toughest game so far, Houston, they squeaked one out by 4 points. Final was 16-12. That was a really bad win. There are such things as bad wins. Because you probably should have just dog-walked Houston. Coming off of last weekend, Oklahoma 34, Tulane 19. Tulane's a pretty good football team, so I think that's their biggest win of the season. So I would say Oklahoma has played more talent than Tennessee has. So they know this game means a ton. Their schedule is really hard in the coming up weeks. Oklahoma needs this one. We're going to follow that same strategy. Play the home dog getting points. I have no deeper insight than that. I just think that if you're going to place a wager on this one, I don't think I'm going to, but I think you take the points for Oklahoma and you bet the over 57.5. Those are the top matchups for college football week number 4. Once again, I will put my card somewhere in the video. So all the wagers that we have as of right now when this video is being posted, I'll put those on here. That way, if you want to tail or fade, they will be readily available for you. And then also follow along with us on Twitter and then Juice Reel so you can get up-to-date picks that we're making. So far, our against the spread numbers have been really good. So happy with where we're at. And we're finally to that. We're getting into like the awesome part of the schedule where these games have some substantial impact. So going to be a great weekend for college football. Be sure to leave us a comment, hit like, hit subscribe. It would help us a ton. Last weekend was the biggest number of views we had for a college football weekend. So I think we had 200-something views last Saturday morning. So thank you for tuning in. If this is your strategy now, you hop in and you watch us Saturday morning, then place your wagers. It's great to have you. So thank you guys for watching this video. And most importantly, good luck with your bets this weekend.